Episode 156.
What's going on? Who is this guy?
Chen Guo exclaimed in surprise from inside the happy internet cafe. Ye Xiu didn't react to the 11 people approaching because he genuinely hadn't noticed. Liang Fang shouted. He didn't respond because he simply couldn't hear them. He wasn't even wearing his headphones. How could he possibly hear it? He casually dispatched the monsters, his focus more on chatting with Chen Guo beside him. After clearing out the few remaining mobs, he stopped outright to chat with the boss, Chen Guo. The boss was just going over some work stuff for the internet cafe. It's official business. Then it was Chen Guo, watching his screen, who saw Liang Fang suddenly slash over with a sword and let out a startled cry. Then Ye Xiu turned his head, saw it, and immediately spun back to his controls. There wasn't a moment to lose. He actually managed to dodge that sword. Oh, I had no idea. As he spoke, Ye Xiu swung his view around in a circle. Spotting the IDs Yongxiao and the others, he let out another "oh." Ye Qiu shook his head, not entirely convinced in his heart, as his view completed its full rotation. After identifying the class composition of these 11 players, he was suddenly taken aback. Ye Xiu was no fan of Team Tiny Herb like Qiqianzi, but as an old rival of Team Tiny Herb, he was even more familiar with their class composition than Poplar Chariot. With a single glance, he instantly made the call. This genuinely surprised Yu. Ye Xiu had certainly noticed the considerable skill of that team from yesterday's attack. Their skill was definitely at a pro level, but he hadn't considered Team Tiny Herb. His suspicions fell more on Liu Hao. They thought this guy, having failed to compete for the dungeon record, had simply come for a direct fight. But now, these 11 players clearly formed the professional composition of Team Tiny Herb. Ye Xiu immediately thought of Qiqianzi, the one who had been so fierce and provocative that afternoon. So it was Wang Jiaxi pulling the strings behind the scenes that day. Ye Xiu thought, his gaze shifting toward the opponent. Among the 11 characters, besides Ye Luo Wu Ti, there was another witch character, Le Huo Yanjin, and behind this character, Blazing Flame's End, Wang Jiaxi was speaking calmly. Liang Fang, you're up. Yes, Ling Fang acknowledged. This was no longer a probe, but the real deal. With a keystroke, his character, Bloodwind, halted in place. His arms tensed and a crimson aura erupted from his entire body. He had activated the Berserker's level 25 skill Frenzy. The Berserk state lasts for 20 seconds, granting a comprehensive boost to strength, attack speed, movement speed, and abnormal status resistance for its duration. But intelligence, physical defense, and magical defense are drastically reduced. Each level requires 20 skill points, and it can be maxed out at level 10. This is the essential skill for a Berserker to maximize their damage output. Liang Fang immediately activating Berserk was perfectly in character for him, hoping to settle the match quickly. A protracted fight was the last thing Liang Fang had patience for. Recognizing the opponent as Team Tiny Herb, Ye Xiu, yet in that instant, he had already grasped their general intent.
He shook his head helplessly. Hey, boss, let's talk about it later.
All right, make it quick. Chen Guo was even more anxious than Ye Xiu at this moment. With his left hand, Ye Xiu tapped the keyboard to maneuver, while his right hand reached for his headset. In high-level duels like this, sound is an indispensable tool. Glory is a pure first-person perspective game. You rely almost entirely on sound to judge what's happening behind you. A seasoned pro can gauge an opponent's distance just by the volume of their footsteps. The cadence of the footsteps could even tell you the opponent's speed. Ye Xiu put on his headphones and immediately heard the heavy, thudding footsteps of Shifeng charging toward him. His view shifted, and he saw the crimson-eyed Bloodwind charging straight at him, unleashing a Berserker's level 5 skill heavy strike. The damage from a weapon's weight scales directly with its heft. Bloodwind's Severing Water Greatsword weighed a full 5 kilograms, more than double the weight of Lord Grimm's Myriad Manifestations umbrella. The force of the blow was staggering. Ye Xiu didn't meet it head-on, instead leaping back to evade. The heavy blow smashed into the ground with a deafening crash. Right where Lord Grimm had just leapt away, a small crater had been punched into the ground. Ye Xiu pushed his mouse, and Lord Grimm thrust forward with a dragon tooth. Liang Fang, however, didn't have Whirlwind dodge it. He raised his sword for an upswing slash, aiming to clash head on with Lord Grimm. The battle spear struck Bloodwind's chest first, but no stun effect was triggered. In its frenzy state, its resistance to abnormal statuses is heightened. Dragon Tooth stun effect was never that strong to begin with. The attack failed to connect. The greatsword of the upslash swung through, carrying clumps of dirt from the ground. Yet, Lord Grimm's retreat after canceling his move allowed him to dodge the blow. Liang Fang was taken aback. He instantly realized that the attack speed of Lord Grimm's battle spear was not as slow as he had assumed. His attempt to meet force with force failed, thwarted by his slower attack speed. This is the nature of pro-level combat. A single detail could reveal a wealth of information. Liang Fang's Bloodwind was indeed in a frenzy state, but this was only a level 2 frenzy. Even at max level, frenzy only adds 1 point of attack speed. That's still a far cry from the 5 points of attack speed on the 1000 Chance umbrella. That's still nowhere near enough. While being slow doesn't guarantee a loss, Liang Fang's current opponent is a top-tier god level player, and a spear-type weapon with an attack speed of 5. That's downright monstrous. Ye Xiu, capitalizing on this advantage, easily suppressed Liang Fang's Bloodwind. 20 seconds passed, and Bloodwind's berserk state ended. The goal of a quick victory had clearly not been achieved at all. Ye Xiu dealt with Bloodwind while keeping an eye on the other stone men. He noticed the other stone golems seemed to have no intention of joining the fight at all, even when Ye Xiu deliberately maneuvered Lord Grimm into their attack range. Ye Xiu grinned. Suddenly, his hands erupted in a blur of speed. The 1000 Chance umbrella in Lord Grimm's grasp shifted form 3 times in an instant, executing attacks from 3 distinct classes. Xu Feng was sent flying with a flashy hit, but a pro's recovery maneuver was flawless. As Xu Feng rolled and prepared to stand, Ye Xiu's Lord Grimm had already used Shadow Clone technique to move to this spot. Clearly, the distance of that knock back was all part of his calculation. Before Xu Feng could rise, he was seized and subjected to another brutal beating. After a brief but brutal struggle, he finally bit the dust. Liang Fang sat before the computer stunned. From start to finish, he never found a single opening. Suppression, total suppression. Every intention, every move was anticipated by his opponent. The opponent's initial moves didn't seem fast, yet with that deliberate, unhurried pace, he was completely and utterly suppressed. Then his hands erupted in speed, and I was instantly wiped out. The game world fell into a dead silence.